Why no one makes a Bûche de Noël at home, Chicago's legit German Christmas market, and why you should visit Italy during the winter. This week, it's all about Christmas.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink. Destination Eat Drink is for foodies who love to travel and travelers who love to eat. And this week, we're celebrating Christmas in France, Italy, Germany, Chicago, and the Philippines. But first, let me ask you to rate and review Destination Eat Drink. It's easy to do. Just go to your podcast app and give up those 5 stars. It really helps get the word out. And if you're thinking of a trip to Portugal or Spain in 2025, check out my ebooks. I have foodie travel guides to 24 cities in Portugal and Spain, outlining not only the best things to do, but also all the things to eat and drink in places like Lisbon, Porto, Seville, and San Sebastian. Each foodie travel guide is only $2.99 to $5.99. And if you're coming to Portugal, I have a full Portugal foodie travel guide to 17 cities. And it's all for just $9.99. Get your ebook at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras. And thank you very, very much. Okay, I'm ready for some panettone, for some Glühwein. Let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Andrew Pryor is an Aussie who makes his home in France. He's the host of the Fabulously Delicious podcast, and Andrew tells me about the Christmas market in his town.
It's interesting. Christmas is a really interesting time here, especially because, well, it just gets so dark. In the evenings, it's like you'll be going 5 o'clock in the evening and it's dark and it's like I haven't walked the dogs. So it's fabulous. The Christmas lights are on all around town. We actually moved here the first year of confinement the first day of confinement, I should say, for the pandemic and for COVID. And that was a strange experience. So this will be our third Christmas here in Montmorillon. Our last 2 Christmases were affected by the pandemic. So this will be the first time we've really noticed since, I would say, April of this year, how the town has gotten back into life, and how just from last year, how things are completely different events. So we're really looking forward to Christmas. I love Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the town all in lights and seeing what activities that they have. They do have a Christmas market. It's usually the week before Christmas. So it's not as big as the Christmas markets in, Strasbourg or any of the other towns. But they do have one. But one of the things I'm really looking forward to is actually not in Montmorillon, but it's going to be a little, maybe a day trip, because I don't like to drive around too much in the dark here in France, just because I was 20 years an insurance broker before I got into food, so I'm a little bit risk adverse. So driving in the dark's not my favorite thing. But I'm really looking forward to heading up just to the Loire, maybe overnight, and seeing the chateaus there, because a little unknown fact, because not a lot of people come at Christmas time or in December or January, as they do in July and August. But they do all the chateaus. There's a lot of chateaus that they do all of them up in, Christmas decorations and Christmas lights. And they're really quite spectacular. And it's just something that the French all know. So the French all go and do it. And I love that. I love going at times of the year when it's or going to events that are specifically French things. So I'll be doing that. And of course, I'll be cooking up a storm for Christmas, cooking my chapon. Do you know what a chapon is?
No.
So a chapon is actually usually it's on every Christmas table here in France. And they celebrate France usually with their family on Christmas Eve. But a lot of people do Christmas Day as well. But a chapon is a castrated rooster. And what happens is that then the rooster itself, it will get a bit plumper, etc., because it's been castrated. Apparently, this happens, and that's what they will usually serve at Christmas, as well as, of course, the foie gras. But we have a crisis here in France. We've had the bird flu, of course, and all the other issues that have been going on in the world. But there's been a bird flu, and there's really a big concern that we're not going to have enough chicken, chapon, or foie gras here for Christmas this year. So I'm being the smart lad, and I'm going to buy mine early and pop it in the freezer and pop it in the cupboard.
There you go. Plan ahead.
Yes.
What about a, what's it called? Bûche de Noël. Is this a popular thing in your area?
Yeah, Bûche de Noël, it certainly is. But I laugh whenever I see people on the internet and it's on YouTube and people are making Bûche de Noëls. Nobody in France. I've never met a French person that's made a Bûche de Noël. It's always made by patisseries. You always go there and buy them.
Well, it's unbelievably difficult and time consuming to make one. I think we tried to do it once and I'm like, this is taking all freaking day.
Yes. No, French are going to do that. And this is the thing, when you come over to somebody's house, unusual for you to be asked or for you to say that I will bring this. So, yeah. So, okay. For me as an Australian, I'm used to just saying, if you bring a bottle of wine. But of course, here in France, you wouldn't do that because in France, I mean, even though I do say it, but it's usually I just say it to the Americans in English, bring a wine, but I would never say it to a French person because in France, you take pride in the fact that you've made this meal and you've matched the wine to it.
Right.
So that's your thing here in France. But what you will say is, how about you bring dessert? Or you bring the chocolate.
Okay.
And so that's usually what will happen, usually in Bûche de Noël. And, yes, if you happen to be somebody that's a fabulous pastry cook and can make amazing cakes, no one's going to be upset with you for bringing a cake or bringing a homemade Bûche de Noël. But, when you see all these amazing Bûche de Noëls in patisseries and tarts and all of those things, a lot of the time that's somebody buying it to take to wherever they're going for dinner or for lunch that day. So they bring the dessert, which I always make a second dessert, Brent, so that I've got leftovers.
Kathy McCabe is the creator and host of the award-winning TV show Dream of Italy. She tells me about being in Rome for Christmas. Kathy McCabe, you've been to Italy 70 plus times. I imagine you've been there all times of year. Have you ever spent Christmas in Italy, and what was that like?
I did. I spent it in Rome, more than 20 years ago. And it was incredible. It was actually a distant cousin of mine. He invited us. It was with my parents when they were alive. And we had the seafood dinner on Christmas Eve. We went this is when John Paul was the Pope. We didn't have tickets for the Mass, but we went at midnight to Vatican City. And then there's the Principi, the creches. They're in almost every church around Rome, and you can walk around and do almost like a little tour of the nativity scene. It's just a magical time. I think it's a great alternative to lots of people do go, so you do need to book. But it's a great alternative to the summer, to the hot and sweltering summer, to, Florence, Venice. They're all really beautiful at the holiday season. You can try a lot of the Christmas specialties. It feels a little bit less commercial there, of course, than it does in the U.S. And I actually would really like to spend another Christmas there and maybe go somewhere else.
So you had the 7 fishes on Christmas Eve. Is that what you said?
I don't remember if we had 7 because, not all Italians do. Like, it's very typical with Italian Americans and Italians who came from the South to do like all 7. But, Italians definitely do seafood, even if they don't do all 7. And then you have the tortellini in brodo, which is, I live for tortellini, which is and I always make it for Christmas as well. and the pastries and the panettone and you just eat your way through Christmas, but then you can take this long walk through Rome and kind of work off the calories. I just think I actually am becoming a bigger and bigger fan of going to Italy in the winter. It's a little more real. It's a little more authentic. It's not so crowded. And you can take part in a lot of traditional celebrations. So I think it's something people should have on their radar.
From a food perspective, so we talked about Christmas Eve, but what about Christmas Day? Do you have any thoughts about what kind of meals that you might expect or what kind of dishes that you could look forward to if you were in Italy for Christmas?
Well, it was interesting. I think when we went out to eat on Christmas Day. We actually went into the countryside for like a traditional dinner, where you have the primi and the secondo, you have the pasta, and then you have where you'd have the seafood at not on Christmas Eve. You'd have meat on Christmas Day. So, and then more and more restaurants are also open when you go to these cities, or you have to reserve ahead. But there's nothing, it's like the Sunday lunch times 100. That long leisurely Christmas celebration.
Margot and Alex are foodie tour guides for Walk With Us in Berlin, Germany. They tell me about the German Christmas markets and a Glühwein crawl.
It's very interesting because, a lot of people from around the world, they come here to Germany specifically for the Christmas market season. And, it is an actual tourist season for us. We are extremely busy during this time of year, and we love that. And it's really interesting because in Berlin, in each district has its own Christmas market, sometimes more than one. And, they are not all the same. They do not all have the same foods. So it's really cool that you can come to a city like Berlin, which is so massive, and you can maybe go see 15 to 20 different Christmas markets and have a different experience at all of them. And I think a lot of people, when they think about Christmas markets, they actually don't even, I feel like a lot of people don't even have Berlin on their radar. They're going to Munich or to some of the smaller villages where I'm sure, of course, they have amazing Christmas markets, but maybe they just have one in their much smaller town. So I hope that this message gets out to people and that people recognize that Berlin is a Christmas market hotbed. And there are, I don't know, a list of 50 or so. Alex
Oh,
and I,
wow.
every year we do an update, and we recommend 5 traditional Christmas markets as well as 5 alternative Christmas markets that are not your traditional, with some extra flavor, like a Japanese Christmas market or a
Cool.
Renaissance festival kind of market where they have flamethrowers and really, really cool stuff out there.
Flamethrowers. Okay. What's at the Japanese Christmas market? That must be super interesting.
Yeah, so it is actually only a few days long. I think the first year that they did it was about 3 years ago. I'm not positive, but it's fairly new. And the first year, I think they just had it one day, then 2 days, and now it is definitely a thing to do. And there, they focus on really food. Food is the main focus, and that's of course really fun because I love Japanese food. And there's also an Italian Christmas market where they have panettone and all of these different Italian foods and food vendors from different regions, and it's on the water and it's outside and it's absolutely freezing, but it's so
Right.
cozy and beautiful and really, really a fun time. So we have, lots of different options, not just the standard one where you might, if you go do a tour of Germany or of Europe doing all Christmas markets, you're gonna see more or less some of the same things. But here you get a different flavor, which is really nice. And actually, I just remembered there, really a lot of the Christmas markets here, the focus is the food. And just last year, they have a new Christmas market where you pay one price and you can eat as much as you want at all the different stalls. So
sign me up.
yeah, yeah, based on the time that you arrive, you could go and you pay, I don't know, 40 euros entry and you get to eat as much as you want, which is really nice.
Love it.
I think then we come back again to the topic of the multiculturalism of the city, like Margaret said, like Japanese Christmas / winter market, Italian, and yeah, also Berlin has a huge Italian community, and so they do their thing. And actually, really, every neighborhood has multiple Christmas markets going on with different topics, medieval, historical Christmas markets with acrobatic shows, jugglers, kind of eccentric, quirky stuff, and LGBTQ Christmas market in Schöneberg, and so on. So I think it also reflects the diversity of Berlin culture pretty well, yeah. In these like Christmas markets, and you could just stay in Berlin and travel from district to district and explore so many different Christmas markets that are located in so many different worlds here in Berlin. And I think, you can spend the whole month just checking out Berliner Christmas markets here.
You know, I was in Chicago a few years after we were in Berlin, and in Chicago they have a German Christmas market. Of course, Chicago has a huge German population.
Yes.
And
that is the first Christmas market I've ever been to, was the one in Chicago.
We went there, and I went there kind of with my looking askance at it. I was like, oh, how good could it be? We were in Berlin and those Christmas markets were so great. We got there and it was legit, man. I mean, there were people who came in from Germany. You know, you walk from stall to stall and people are speaking German, from Germany. We were talking to them and they bring the real stuff, the handcrafted lace and the wood toys and all the stuff that, that you would see at the Berlin, any one of the Berlin Christmas markets. It was quite extraordinary. I was very impressed.
Yeah. That's so cool.
One of the things I like to do in wintertime in Germany is to have a cup or two of Glühwein. You can get it at the Christmas market. One thing I found really interesting was you can get Glühwein. I would walk down the street in Berlin and I would just see like a table set up in front of a store and a jug of Glühwein and cups, and they're like, just leave a couple of euros here and you can take your Glühwein with you. It seems like it's everywhere.
Yeah, that is definitely something that you will now get at every shop. So the shops, the Spätis, the late shops that sell beer 24 hours a day, and when it's freezing temperatures outside and you want something to warm you up, a beer is not going to be your first choice. So these places, they're like, oh, we should just have hot Glühwein, and you can get it on every single corner nowadays, and not just at Christmas time, all through winter time.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and you could in Berlin, because of this late shop, Späti, we say in colloquial, it's like Späti. Spät means late in German. Späti is your late shop, but it's more than just your convenience store. It's kind of a meeting point of the neighborhood, where people hang out and so on. And you could, during that season, winter, Christmas season, you can get your roadie Glühwein on the way and basically jump from Späti, late shop to late shop, and do your own little Späti Glühwein tour. So that's definitely all over the place.
I love the idea of a Glühwein crawl in Berlin. What a great idea.
Yeah. You need a lot of food with that also.
Sure, definitely. That's why you got to take the food tour.
Exactly.
Gian is the founder of Explore Manila Tours. He tells me about the huge Christmas celebrations in the Philippines. Gian, welcome back to Destination Eat Drink. I wanted to have you on our special Christmas episode of the podcast because the Philippines is a great place for Christmas traditions. You don't think of a Asian island country as celebrating Christmas, but you guys do. You're an overwhelmingly Catholic country. What is Christmas like in the Philippines?
Christmas is on steroids here in the Philippines. Uh, many travelers, the moment they arrive here in the Philippines in the Burr months, they're surprised. So what are the Burr months, Brent? September, October, November, December. Basically, as early as September 1, Christmas decorations come out.
Oh.
The international airport, people come in and they'll be like, why are Christmas trees everywhere in the airport? It's only September. Like, it's a thing here in the Philippines. We love Christmas. Uh, some people ask me, like, why is that a thing? Why are Filipinos so into Christmas? Well, when life was harsh under the colonial rule, the one time of the year that everyone got a little bit more food, the masters were a little bit more friendly, was Christmas. So everyone was just excited for Christmas. And the thing is, the weather here in the Philippines cools down closer to the Christmas season, and scientifically, that starts as early as September. Cold winds from Russia come into the islands, and it doesn't get like really cold, but I would say a nice, maybe breezy low 70s, which is pretty cold for for the Philippines already. And as soon as that happens in September, people would always get reminded of the cool winds of Christmas. That's why we start the celebrations early. Lots of food, lots of family gathering. If you're here in that time period and you have Filipino friends, oh, prepare yourself. The general rule, if you visit the Philippines, is 2 pounds every week gained in terms of weight. If you're here during the Christmas season, that's doubled basically.
Oh my God. What kind of foods do you traditionally have at Christmas?
The main dish for a Christmas dinner celebration, for example, one of two things. Ham is a big thing here in the Philippines. You very much similar to like your country ham in the US. A nice like ball of ham is a big part of Filipino Christmas celebrations. But another one is lechon, which is whole roasted pork. So it's roasted over coals, and the skin just gets like glass, so it's gonna be super crispy and crunchy and all that, and then the insides are all gonna be succulent and soft. Some other favorite dishes here in the Philippines, a lot of the classic sweets come out. Leche flan, ube comes out in the form of ube halaya, which we discussed previously before. And what else? Chocolates and stuff like that. But really, the main things that you start to see is the ham and the lechon and the sweets, like the different kinds of kakanin. Oh, and a cool thing with how we celebrate Christmas here in the Philippines is we celebrate at midnight as it turns the 25th. So on the 24th, everyone's at home already, everyone's gathered with the family, and no one goes to sleep. Everyone's cooking as early as like 3 in the afternoon, preparing the ingredients. And the main celebration is at midnight. So we wait for Christmas to come in. So for our American listeners, you go to sleep after like the eve before Christmas, and you wake up early as a kid to open up your presents. In the Philippines, no, you try to stay up with your family, your friends, your cousins, all running around and all that. And then once it hits midnight, everyone starts feasting. If anymore, they'll skip the feast first, and they'll start opening presents before they come to eat.
So you open the presents late on Christmas Eve, and then when midnight comes, it's time for the food to come out. I like this tradition a lot.
Yeah. An interesting food that comes about in this time of the year is two things. One is puto bumbong, which is a purple ube flavored sticky rice cake cooked in a bamboo tube. So they're tiny. Like imagine those recorders. That I think that's another thing we have in common between the Philippines and the US. Do most American kids like you get recorders either in elementary school or in high school that you
I
have to
played it.
learn?
I played it when I was a kid. I don't know if kids still do that today, but I have to imagine that's one of the first instruments they hand out when you're like 10 years old or something like that, and you can
Yep.
learn like Three Blind Mice or something like that.
Yeah, that's a thing here in the Philippines as well. Like sixth graders or stuff like that. Fifth graders, the recorders are like one of the music instruments that everyone learns. So imagine a bamboo tube, the size of a recorder, but half the length, and then they will stuff that with the powdered rice and ube mixture, and then they'll put that into a steamer that's just blowing steam through the pipe, and it'll cook the sticky rice. It's served with butter and muscovado sugar, which is like an artisanal kind of sugar, very caramelly in flavor and all that. Bibingka is another Christmas. Historically, it was only prepared during these masses. Like after the mass, you go out and ladies are selling them in the side of the streets. And this is kind of like a rice, bake them in clay pots, and then it's lined with banana leaf, so that adds a little bit of like a smoky charred flavor. And then they serve it with margarine or butter and a lot of sugar as well. So those are some very very typical Christmas season treats that nowadays you might see in other times of the year, but historically those were treats reserved for the Christmas season.
Okay, that's John from Explore Manila Tours. You can reach him at exploremanilatours.com. I've also got links to Andrew, Kathy, and Margot and Alex in the show notes. Next week, we're celebrating New Year's in New Zealand, Bangkok, Italy, and much, much more. Don't miss that. Until then, I've got tons more foodie travel at destinationeatdrink.com. There's a new story about a Portuguese pastry named for a hedgehog. I know it doesn't sound appetizing, but it's delicious. You can read that at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. There's also a brand new video about the best things to drink on the island of São Miguel in the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean. There's a liqueur made from blackberries, a beer made with passion fruit, and much more. You can see that video at youtube.com/@destinationeatdrink946. And remember, my foodie travel guide ebooks, including one to São Miguel in the Azores, are available at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink/extras. It's the perfect last-minute Christmas gift because you can download it and send it off right away. No wrapping needed. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson. I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.